Oh.
All right, guys. Welcome back to the Pulse with Willie and Al. How's it going today, bro?
Not bad, man. Not bad. You want to tell the listeners where you are? Because
Oh,
it that does not look like the normal Turkish apartment of one Shane Myro.
no, it does not. I'm actually back home in Vermont, so staying.
USA,
Yeah,
USA, USA.
yeah. I've become a basement boy again. I'm living out of my mom's
Yeah.
basement. So, but yeah, we are back. We made it. We made it through customs safely. Saw a. Got to share this with you, right? So, Turkish Airlines, who flies direct flights to Boston, they had a this initiative that they passed recently that they were having issues when once a flight landed, people were getting up very quickly and trying to rush towards the front to exit the plane. So they instituted this law that if you stand up and basically don't allow the row of people to go in front of you, then you can be fined. Well, there was a kid on the flight that ended up rushing towards the front of the plane as soon as it landed, and it wasn't like, I don't mean landed like docked, like we were able to get off. This was, we were still on the runway and told we were, it was going to be a little bit before we could get to the place to unload people.
Oh man.
And so he stood up, grabbed his bag out of the overhead, and started to run towards the front. And the stewardess was like, "No, you need to sit down." And he refused. And this is like a, I don't know, 18, 19-year-old kid, like someone who knows better.
Jesus.
And so when we finally got to the docking place, everyone had to remain in their seats. And it took us an extra 20 minutes because the marshals came onto the plane and issued him a citation of $1,500
Oh
uh,
my God.
for that. So
Jesus.
even better, and this is where I just love people and how they interact with other people. But this older guy behind me told the kid was complaining about the ticket, this and that. And he's like, "Yeah, what about all the people whose time you wasted by, rushing and
Yeah.
not doing that?" He goes, "Maybe your balls will drop and you'll get a little smarter later in life." And like,
Damn.
just to hear this in front of people and appreciate it, I was like, welcome to America, buddy. Welcome to
Yeah.
America. So, very, very interesting. So, yeah, tons of great stuff, but landed safely. Uh, Glad to be home, visiting friends and family, and yeah, just really good to see the parents, and was able to watch the All-Star game with my dad last night, which was real cool.
Oh man.
So just to be
Oh.
back and turn on a television and see ESPN made me very, very happy. It's the little things in life, right? But obviously miss my wife, miss my apartment in Turkey. But I'm gonna enjoy the time I have here for the next few weeks. So, um, yeah, trying to get stuff with fantasy football going. Trying to get,
Woo!
yeah, which is a lot of fun. And if you're out there still looking for a league, guys, drop a comment below. I got a couple leagues, a guillotine league and a half point PPR 12 team redraft league that we're still looking for people. So, but without further ado, we are back with episode 85 today. We're going to title this one AFC South today because we're going to be going through the four teams from the AFC South. But before we jump into that, we're going to do some Major League Baseball because there's news that we got to talk about here. And might as well start with the draft that came out. I know there was a lot of speculation as to who was going to go first in the draft, but it very interesting that with kind of the turnover in the Washington Nationals organization that they end up selecting Eli Willits um,
Yeah.
with the top overall pick. So I just kind of wanted to get your opinion on that, what you think for him, and he seems to be a great prospect for them as well.
So the story of the draft is really the first two picks because the Angels had the second pick. And so going into the draft, like everybody and their mother said the 1-2, and you could have flipped the order, was going to be Kate Anderson, who is this pitcher out of LSU
Hmm.
who led the Tigers to the College World Series title. He was, I think he throughout the playoffs he had only allowed one run in 17 innings of the College World Series.
Yeah,
Like
didn't he
he,
have a no hitter in the World Series playoffs as well?
He came close.
Close to
He
that.
came
Okay.
close.
Yep.
Yeah. And then also Ethan Holiday was the other guy. And
Yeah.
if you're wondering who that is, that's Jackson Holiday's little brother.
Yeah. Of course,
Uh,
I wrote it wrong, but yeah, yeah. Jackson's
the
brother.
father, his dad is Matt Holiday,
Yeah.
and so everybody just like for weeks and weeks and weeks, like, cool. They're going 1-2. Really depends on the like. It really depends on what team needs what, but like that was kind of what everybody thought.
Hmm.
And then the Nationals, a week before the draft, fired their general manager and their manager. So everything was kind of in flux. Um, and good shortstop. Everybody like likes him. Just nobody ever thought he was going to be the number one pick. Um, yeah. So I mean, and he's a high schooler, and like high schoolers historically as a number one pick, that's real hit or miss. It's some real hit or miss stuff.
Hmm.
So we'll see. But then what's even more crazy, the Angels with the second pick, because like Eli Willits like is a top five prospect. So you're
Yeah.
like, okay, I wouldn't have taken him one. Sure, whatever. It's what the Angels do at two that starts this domino effect of just nuttiness.
Hmm.
So the Angels take this guy named Tyler Bremer, who's a good righty. I think he's out of, I want to say he's out of UC Santa Barbara. He's decent pitcher. Um, but like definitely a mid-round prospect. Everybody and their mother had him as like a mid-round prospect.
Middle of the first round, you're saying, right?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
All right. Yeah.
And so the thought was, hey, if you were going to take a pitcher, why don't you take the best one in the draft in Cade Anderson? I don't know. That just seems like the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So that doesn't happen. So then the Mariners at 3 just could not turn in that card fast enough
Yeah.
for Cade Anderson.
Yep.
So they get him at 3. And then the Rockies, who get Holiday at 4, who his dad Matt played for the Rockies. So
Yeah.
that's kind of a nice full circle moment.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to follow in his father's footsteps there, and seems like he's going to be an excellent player for them. Someone great to add to that team. As they could use a little bit of help. I think you could
Yeah.
say. Um,
Understatement of the year. Yeah.
yeah.
So
Very interesting. It's kind of like I don't know. I don't know how many years you've been following the NFL draft, but the Raiders used to do stuff like that. They would pick guys that it was like, oh, this guy's the fastest guy in the draft, but he probably should be a third round pick. Let's take him sixth overall. Right? And
shout out the year they drafted Sebastian Janikowski in the first round.
oh, yeah, geez, I forgot he was a first round pick. Or I thought you were
Sure
going to
was.
shout out the year they drafted Jamarcus Russell in the first round. And, oh, he can
Well,
throw 80 yards from his knees. It's like, yeah, that's great, but he can't do anything else.
you can't watch any film.
Yeah, it's really tough. So, uh,
Did you hear? It's a sidebar on Jamarcus Russell, real quick.
yeah,
You've heard the story, right? About like, so the coaches didn't think that he was watching film.
yeah,
So so this was back in the day, still of with VHS.
hmm,
So they would give him a tape of like plays to watch,
hmm,
and they're like, "Hey, go home and watch this. Let us know what you like. If there's any like things we should change or add to this package." And so he would come back the next day and say, "Oh man, it all looks good." They were get Now this is allegedly, but the story has gone around long enough that I,
yeah,
I, I kind of feel like it's true.
yeah.
The VHSs were blank, and
Oh
they knew
my
that.
God. Oh,
Yeah,
that's rough. They
yeah,
had something like that, a nugget like that in the movie Draft Day with Kevin Costner, where they were
mhm,
talking about one guy. They basically would give the guy the playbook, right? I think it was the Seahawks that did
yeah,
it, and they would basically give all of these guys playbooks, and at the last page it was like there was $100 bill,
yeah.
and they asked, like, basically he was the only one that there was only one guy that was able to read through the whole book and turn it back in, and the other guy, basically the top prospect who ended up falling in the draft in that movie, ended up lying about them to it, and then like
Right.
tried to play off the lie again with another lie, and it was just kind of interesting instead of just being like, oh no, I just didn't read it. But
Yeah.
Instead, let's compound that lie, right?
Yeah.
But
Bonkers.
very interesting. Well, good sidebar we had there.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's jump in right now on your Red Sox, right? 10-game winning streak going into the break. Like,
yeah.
wow, man.
I was there on Sunday for win number 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there. It was a good time. The crowd was electric.
Hmm.
It was a 1:35 start on a Sunday afternoon, and it was nothing but blue skies.
Yeah.
Couldn't
Amazing
be
day to
beat,
watch
man.
baseball. Yeah.
Yeah, could not be beat.
They
And the crowd was electric. Brian Bella was on the mound, who ironically the other game I went to this year, he also started.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, crowd was electric. They just big timely hit after big timely hit, and Chapman came in the ninth and was throwing 102. So like, uh, yeah, yeah, and the crowd was like nuts. Like you could just like every time it got to two strikes, the crowd was just out. It was one of the better crowds I've been a part of in a long time.
Mm,
So, and it
very
was
good.
cool to see it. Like, yeah, if you get a chance, you can go back and like watch like the final like Chapman's ninth inning, and like the crowd is just we're just out of our minds. Like, but yeah, 10 game winning streak going into the break. I couldn't be happier.
I think you're gonna
We're
need it for the way the second
yeah,
started. Yeah.
yeah. We're 17-9 since we've traded Devers, which I think
Mm.
is really good.
I was gonna
Uh,
ask you about that because like there was a lot of skeptics with that, and I think you were included in that of like, why are we doing this right now? Like, why are we blowing it up? But it seems like you're not. Uh,
yeah. Yeah, some real Ewing theory potential with that. And yeah, we'll see. But yeah, no, I'm excited for the Red Sox, man. Like, and you could tell too, like going into the park that day, there's a buzz I haven't felt going into Fenway since I would say, I don't know, 2019.
some of the World
Um,
Series years, right, or competitive
yeah, well,
years.
so yeah,
Yeah.
2019 was the year after, but they were still a really good team that year. And
Hmm.
like it's so funny because you kind of knew they were going to win.
Hmm.
And I don't, that doesn't happen very often with this team when I go. Like I just knew I was like, oh, they're going to win this game today. Like,
Yeah, it's weird. For every team, it's different and stuff. But I even felt that with my Braves the year they won the World Series. Like it just felt like it can't go wrong. It can't.
yeah, especially that second half when they were just crushing
Yeah,
everyone. Yeah,
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 they were crushing it. And I don't know. Now they're just like, let's do the opposite of that now.
yeah,
So,
it's not great.
very interesting. Um, yeah, I mean, we're going to get into the Red Sox again in a minute here, but just wanted to also mention Big Dumper wins the home run derby, which how
He ever.
awesome how awesome seeing Pat McAfee introduce him as having the fattest ass in all of professional sports. And like he's just standing there like, "Oh, okay." And like if there's one person that can get away with it, it's McAfee, right? Like
Yeah,
everyone else
yeah.
they'd be
Oh
like,
man.
can you believe this person? Shame on them. And he's just like, I don't care if you shame me or not, I'm gonna say it. So um he wins home run derby, first catcher to do it, is that right?
First catcher, first switch hitter to do it as well.
Yeah, I mean, just really really cool. Kind of wanted to get your perspective on the 1 inch ruling, and that's not a
So
personal question, that's a
yeah,
purely
well,
baseball question.
are you? Yeah, so you're talking about like the balls and strikes thing.
No, no, no. They basically said like they measured the. This is kind of funny. I saw a meme that talked about how they were measuring the home run balls there because he had hit a ball almost 1 inch further than someone else, so he ended up winning because of the tiebreaker or something like that, or
Oh yeah,
advanced.
yeah, yeah. They took like it was like the longest home run, and like his was just like 1 inch longer. Like it's incredible.
Yeah, it's hard
Like
to not to smile when you say that too, right? Like
yeah,
it was,
well,
it's kind of funny. The meme was talking about, you mean to tell me we can nail it down to 1 inch in home run derby, but we still have umps missing strikes by 6 inches or
sure
balls by
do.
six? Like
The
it's
beauty of baseball, man. It's
yeah,
the beauty of baseball.
it's wild. So
Yeah.
really cool to see him win home run derby though, and kind of his story and his dad throwing to him out there, which I know is very popular for a lot of the players, but just really cool to see
Fun
that.
fact about Cal Raleigh.
Hmm.
His uncle, I was reading the other day, was a hitting coach for the Portland Sea Dogs back in '02, and this was when the Sea Dogs were the Marlins affiliate, Double A affiliate.
Huh.
Yep.
Very interesting.
Yep. The Sea Dogs now, obviously, the Boston Red Sox Double A affiliate, but
Hmm.
yeah, back in the day, they were the Marlins for a long
Very,
time.
very
So
interesting.
yeah,
All-Star game last night happened, and it seemed like I went to bed when it was 6-0, and I woke up and well, I guess I went to bed at the wrong time.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I went to bed when it was 6-0 as well. I had recorded the game.
Yeah,
So I was like, cool, I'll just like watch the rest of it today at some point. And like I'm glad that I recorded it because
it was magic.
Jesus.
Yeah,
What, what it the that escalated quickly.
very
Like
quickly.
very quickly.
I
Rooker got that 3-run homer, and I was like, oh, we're off to the races here.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It
Yeah,
kind of interesting the way it got resolved as well with the tiebreaker. What did you think of that?
I loved it. I
You
loved everything about it because people are a
Can you
lot of
just
the
describe that
discourse.
real quick? What the home run swing off tiebreaker is, just so that they
Sure,
kind of
yeah.
know.
So they each AL and NL draft essentially three players, and it kind of becomes a home run derby. Is
Hmm.
for all intents and you get three swings, but you can take as many pitches as you want.
Huh.
The,
Okay.
that's the thing. And then Schwarber just came in essentially and just hit dingers for all three. One of them, I think, if I remember correctly, he hit almost 500 feet.
Yeah. He left his strikeouts at home that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last one he did the Adrian Beltre like swung on a knee
Yeah.
and just jacked it out of there. And we're like, well,
Yeah. But you liked it. You
cool.
liked it being resolved with that.
Me too. Yeah, I did.
Hmm.
Because here's the thing. It's a meaningless game. We don't need this game going extra innings. Like, at least make this fun. Like, I love when games go extra innings, and I know that I'm kind of the anomaly to that rule.
Hmm.
But like a lot baseball's kind of a dying sport. And if you want to have more people watch baseball, you got to do stuff like this, and like
Hmm.
I'm here for it because
Yeah.
like all the discourse I've read today about it, like everybody really liked it.
Yeah. Seems like there
Like
was a
it was
lot of real
exciting.
positive feedback about it.
Yeah, like, and if I'm MLB, like I keep that, like,
Hmm.
so
The other thing that they mentioned, well, we should mention the new tech that they were kind of using, the automatic strikes. Just a few questions. Like, did you like the way it was imposed, like
yep,
in the game?
yep,
Um,
because it helped out Scooble at one point because he was 0-2 on Manny Machado.
yeah, on your
Fuck
guy.
Manny Machado.
Yep.
Um,
I even said that to the TV yesterday as I was watching. I was like, Al hates this guy. Let's just go ahead and throw it out there. So,
sure do.
yeah.
um, but yeah, and they called it a ball, and it was real close, and
Mhm.
Scooble challenged it and like got it overturned, and that was a strikeout.
Yeah.
Like he really needed it because he was struggling that inning, man. Like
Yeah. It was tough. It was the first time in the first inning he's given up 3 hits.
in
And
fairness, he gave those hits up too, and I quote Shohei Otani, Acuna, and Kendall Marte.
wait,
Like
was it
it
Otani?
yeah, it was Otani.
Hmm. Crazy.
Yeah.
Craziness,
Um,
man.
and like if you're gonna give up hits to guys, like there's a lot of pitchers that have given up hits to those dudes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
You,
that's right. Otani hit it right out over the infield. That's what it was.
yeah,
He's just awesome to watch. Very
yeah.
difficult to be disappointed by anything he's able to do.
Also, cool thing because the game was held in Atlanta.
Hmm.
They did a really cool tribute before the game about to Hank Aaron. And like if you get a chance, go back and like if you didn't get a chance to watch it last night, go and find video of it. It's really cool what they did. Like his wife was there,
Hmm.
and it was just honestly, it was one of the more beautiful things they've done.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
gonna have to check it out. I think we tuned in a little late, like a
yeah,
few minutes before the start of the game, so I missed that. But yeah, I'll have to go back and check that. Um, big question that I had about the automatic strikes, like, do you see this as like something the fans can really get behind, or do you see it as a major hurdle in the game? Because I know there's a lot of people that want to keep conservative with baseball, right? Keep it the way it used to be, all of that, having an umpire behind, calling balls and strikes. Like, do you see this as something that damages the game later, or do you think it provides like there's more upside than there is drawback for this?
True to all this is like umpires aren't going away.
Mhm.
Like they're not. Like I think if anything, it just we've all watched this where like our team gets a called third strike that you're like fucking kidding me? Like
Mhm.
that's 6 inches off the plate.
Right.
And like if you have an advantage to like maybe flip that script and get an extra pitch that could ultimately end up driving in the winning run, like I'm all for it. Like
Yeah. I think being more accurate is good. I think out of the five calls that were challenged last night, four of them were overturned.
yeah,
So, um, and most would look at that and be like, "Wow, the umpires are doing a really bad job." But these are only the ones that are borderline calls, right? That they're
yeah,
so I don't know. I feel like it worked and I liked it. It was very surprising to see that. And then seeing Machado walk back to the dugout, he's like, "Oh, I guess I'm out." All right then.
yeah. Okay,
Um,
you know.
okay. Moving forward, just real quick, the team as we're about to start the second half of the season here, what's the team you expect to make the biggest jump in the second half? Because I just looking at the standings, right? Like the Brewers have started to close the gap with the Cubs. They're not far behind. Um,
NL Central race is going to get real fun.
yeah,
It's going to get real fun in the second half, and I'm excited.
like
Like,
is it something you see like maybe in the American League, maybe Seattle makes a jump or and what's the team that you really think is going to come on strong and really punch through and carry it into the postseason?
I'm going to say a thing. And this isn't really kind of a hot take, but like, I really want to see what the Tigers are going to do the second half because they're now kind of last year they were the plucky underdog team that was like, all right, cool. Like we turned it on and then we were able to make the playoffs. We aren't really supposed to be here. And this year is a year where they're real contenders.
Yeah, they're the favorites right now. They have to be, right? With the best lead.
Yeah, like
They've
they
led the league all year with the best record. It's
and they're if the playoffs were to start today, they'd have home field for the whole thing. Like,
yeah.
and that's pretty impressive.
Hmm.
Like, so I'm kind of excited about that. I'm really excited for like I said, the NL Central race. Cubs Brewers is going to get real weird in the second half, and I'm
Hmm.
I'm I'm here for it. Um, I want to talk about my Red Sox for a minute. 10-game winning streak going into the break. I've never actually, it's the first time I've ever been like, hey, can we just keep playing games and not have the All Star break?
Hmm.
Because the thing that scares me though, the Sox schedule, the first, I think it's like 9 games. Cubs, Phillies, Angels.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Cubs, Phillies. Sorry, Cubs, Phillies, Dodgers.
Dodgers. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Dodgers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. Not great. Not great.
So hopefully
Um.
you don't erase that 10-game winning streak with a 10-game losing streak.
Yeah. I think the thing that I with them, I think they're really gelling as a team. And I know there's like you can't really put a number to that, but like having watched them like all the season, especially watching them at home on Sunday, like you kind of see it with them. They're just happy to be with each other.
Yeah,
Like
that's important.
and I think that's going to carry them a long way. You got a guy like Cora who can manage, who's done this before. He's managed big games. Yeah, I really am kind of excited for the Red Sox, and I know historically the Red Sox in the second half break my heart every year. I know it, but man, it's kind of the beauty of it is being like, oh man, what if we do make a run this year
Yeah.
with all the rookies that we have? Like, so yeah, we'll see, man. Other team that I am excited for, and this again, this isn't a big shock, but like the Phillies are really kind of the team in the National League right now. I know everybody's going to say the Dodgers, but like the Dodgers can't keep a pitcher healthy to save their lives. They
Yeah.
can't. What I'm really excited to see with the Phillies is like, okay, they're going to make a deal at the deadline and they're going to tweak some stuff. And I want to see how they do it because, frankly, they're the most complete team in the National League.
Mhm.
Because, like, respectfully to the Dodgers, like, you don't know who you're getting as a starter.
Right.
Like, you don't. Like, and no offense to Clayton Kershaw, but that dude old. Like,
Mhm.
so yeah, that's what I'm kind of excited for. You want to talk about your Braves for a minute, like what you're kind of hoping for in the second half with them, or
Listen, just not more of what they went through in the first half. Just I I think the road to them making the playoffs is a lot more difficult now.
oh yeah,
They've had some really rough stretches, and if you look at the National League in particular, there's a lot of 50 game winners right now. The Braves, I think, are still stuck at 38 wins, something like that. Uh,
42, 42.
42 they're at now. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
it, the road to recovery for them, uh, they just some of the guys that just haven't been playing well this year, like Michael Harris, second, like just Ozzy Albies, they just really haven't
Matt
been.
Olson.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of chuckled that he made the All Star game because I'm like, okay, like his stats are all right, but he didn't get paid a ridiculous amount of money to bat
Yeah,
220 or 240 or whatever he's batting now. Like we were expecting around 300, you know.
yeah.
Maybe not 50 homers every year, but you know, way north of where he's been. Um,
I mean, the Braves do have their work cut out for them. They're 9.5 back in the wild card.
yeah,
It's not impossible, but like they got to start taking 2 out of 3 every series.
yeah, and that's a big change that needs to be made. Uh, I think they're going to be sellers at the deadline, and that's kind of
Yeah,
sad, but that's what happens when you don't perform, right? You
yeah.
have to they've got to try to figure it out. So I hope they're able to finish off the season all right, and then maybe go into next year. And it just stinks to have good starters like Strider and Sale, and they're going to be a year older next year.
A wasted year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it really feels that way. So I don't know. We will see what
yeah.
happens going forward for them.
If the playoffs were to start today, Sox would make the playoffs.
Yeah, pretty
They hold one
incredible, right?
of the wild card spots. Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
A lot's going to happen in the second half, and I think there will be some teams that will emerge that will give us more clarity on this. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Also,
ChatGPT picked the Braves to win the World Series this year. I don't know what they were thinking, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh, yeah,
Yeah, both wild card races are still like uh every team in the American League minus 3 of them are 4.5 out or less.
it's crazy.
Yeah. And like if you tell me that Baltimore makes a run in the second half, I'd be like, okay, like they have enough talent, like they could.
Hmm.
I mean, Oakland's weird. Yeah. Yeah, anything's possible. And that's what I love about baseball is like when it gets into August and those dog days, man, where it's like you're tired and you're just that's you got to figure out what teams are made of, and I'm ready. Like
Yeah,
so,
it should be a great second half for baseball as it starts to, and even through. I swear, as soon as August 1st hits, it's like, all right, now like what team's going to be the team that gets really hot now and carries that into the postseason because that team
yeah,
usually has quite a bit of success. Uh,
yeah. You think about like a couple of years ago, Arizona,
yeah,
what 2023,
hmm,
they had that hot second half and rode that all the way to the World
yeah.
Series.
The
Like,
Mets, well, yeah. So the Mets didn't do that last year, but the Mets got real hot in the second half and
yeah,
had arguably the best record in the second half of
Grimace
baseball.
baby,
Yeah.
rode that Grimace power all the way, baby.
Okay. Anything else you want to mention about baseball before we transition here?
No, man, just this season hasn't sucked the way that I thought it was going to.
Yeah,
Weirdly,
it's actually been better for you.
well, I think one more thing about the Red Sox. So I went to go see them a month ago, a
Hmm.
little over a month ago, and that team was lifeless.
Hmm.
Like they were awful. So
Hmm.
for them to make this kind of turnaround, like it's just a tribute, a credit to Cora and like the players, and it's fun to watch, man. So
Awesome, man. I'm glad that
yeah,
you're enjoying it again because it
yeah,
changes as a fan when you see that.
yeah.
Really
And
does.
as the Red Sox, we haven't won in a while, so it's time. We're due.
No, you're
We're due.
not due. Bullshit. Due. Yeah. Yeah, all right.
As
Okay.
a as a title town, we're lacking right now, man. We're lacking.
Yeah, I guess so. All right, let's go ahead and transition to football. We have some big news to cover in terms of not free agency, but contracts, right? Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson, they get their extensions. Very similar to each other in terms of the extensions they got, but don't forget these two were drafted in the same draft class and really have done well. Consider Garrett Wilson's done very well considering he's had a different quarterback each year throwing him the ball, and now he's got Justin Fields. So um, Wilson's been very productive considering having who was it? Zach Wilson throwing him the ball there for a while. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's awful. Sauce Gardner, very good his first year, right? Lockdown corner, one of the best in the league. Took a step back last year, I think, a little bit, but there was other things going wrong with that defense last year.
yeah,
Some distractions too. Like you think about it, like we forget about this, but Hassan Reddick kind of at the beginning of the year, and then coming in late and just not doing anything, it just kind of sets the stage for like a bad showing for the team.
yeah. I think what's like fascinating with the Jets is this is the most proactive and smart thing the Jets have done in a while is
Hmm.
locking these guys. This is the first year they were eligible for extensions,
Yes.
and they were like, "Cool, let's not let's not be Cincinnati and fuck around with
Well,
this."
and it's not just them, but it's also Dallas too, right? Like you look at what the Jets do. They're not waiting to pay these guys because this is and from a
Yeah,
financial perspective, that's something that it seems like teams like Dallas and Cincinnati don't fully consider when they look
yeah,
at a player is like, okay, we could sign Jamar Chase right now to a contract, or we can wait and then we're going to pay more at the end of the year because he's going to have another season under his belt, but also the market's going to change too. They're paying these guys right now, and I think Sauce is the highest paid corner in the league now.
yeah,
But that's going to change throughout weeks in the season, throughout the off season, all of that, right? But they're
yeah,
paying him now for a market that could be 35 million next year, right?
yeah. And the fact that they now have Sauce and Wilson locked up till 2030
Yeah,
is
that's a
huge. That
very,
is
very big
so
deal.
big for them.
Yeah.
Like,
But this is the
so
thing that I want to mention too is I always see these players coming out. Granted, this is their first eligible contract after being drafted. But I feel like some of these players come out a year or two before, like they sign a 5 year deal, and by year three, halfway through there, they're upset about what they're paid. Right. So it's
yeah,
like
and that could happen. That
yeah,
could
they're
happen with
they're
Wilson.
technically under contract until 2030, but this team
Yeah,
starts losing, you may end up losing one of these guys before that. Right.
yeah,
So it's just I think it's very smart, like you said. New York Jets front office needed to do this. They are doing themselves a favor by paying ahead right now.
yeah.
So
Yeah, and Sauce too. Like I know he had a down year. He's 2 years played, two first team All Pros.
yeah, he's
And
very
he,
very good,
yeah, like
and just meticulous in terms of coverage. He's very very sticky, and if not for some other guys like Patrick Surtain, right, you could make the argument that he's the best corner in the league, right?
it's wild too because Derek Stingley Jr. went one pick ahead of him, who's
Hmm.
also insane.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
like two corners of that caliber in that draft, like that's unheard of,
yeah,
man. That's
very
so good. Like,
yeah, very good.
yeah,
Also in news, Trey Smith, he got paid by the
sure
Kansas City
did.
Chiefs. They made
Sure
him,
did.
I believe, the highest paid guard in the league.
Yep.
But again, something that needed to be done. And when you have a guy of that caliber that's playing the way he's playing on that line, you need to lock him up. You have to. So I know Patrick Mahomes is probably very happy about that, but Trey Smith's also very happy now too. And there's
Yeah,
no, it's
he got 70 million guaranteed.
This
Woo.
is the other thing. He's not going into the season with any sort of, okay, I'm unhappy about this, none of that. No, like I
Yeah.
got paid, now it's time to get back to work, right? So
Yep.
it just I think it changes the whole demeanor of everything. Um, one thing I did want to mention, we talked about Shamar Stewart and not he was the first round pick by Cincinnati, who is still not signed and stuff. There's rumors that he's working out at Texas A&M, and possibly going to return to college. However, that would void the issues in his contract, right? So I think there's been two different sides to these rumors, right? That he's just working out there. It's not a big deal. He doesn't plan to play there. But if he does decide to go back and play at Texas A&M, he would still Cincinnati would still retain the rights to him because he needs to sit out of football an entire year to be eligible to re-enter the NFL draft and be drafted by someone else. Um, but you had mentioned
That's
too,
such a that's such a risk either
yeah,
way.
we were talking about it before, the issues with all the second round picks and stuff, and it just I think there needs to be more clarity uh, for the fans, at least in terms of how this stuff is getting done, right? And what the expectations are. Those guys should know going into the draft, just the way first round picks, their contracts are itemized. It should be the same thing in the second round. You should know exactly what you're going to make, what you're scheduled for based on your pick, all of that stuff. Uh, it just I don't know. It seems like there's so much language that's being looked at and re-looked at, and I don't want the players to be disadvantaged. I feel like a lot of the contracts favor the owners in the club. Really would like the players to get better contracts and more guaranteed contracts. I have no issue with that because one hit in football and you can be done. That's typically not going to happen in baseball or basketball, where you get impacted one time, you get injured, and you're done. But in football, it can be life changing. So I don't understand why they're having such issues with this. I haven't heard anything about Trey Hendrickson either, and an update on that. But it just the longer it lingers, the more uncomfortable you feel about those
Yeah.
things. Um, anything you wanted to mention about that before we jump into the AFC South?
No, let's talk about the AFC South because your team resides in this division, and we're not going to talk about them first, but I cannot wait to get to them.
Oh yeah, I
Oh
bet you can.
man,
Yeah, let's start off.
oh man,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we'll start off with the Tennessee Titans. They finished fourth last year, right? 3-14. Some new things for them, right? They've got a new quarterback in Cam Ward, who was just a coveted number one pick.
yeah,
Second year under Brian Callahan, who, if people forget, right, he was the offensive coordinator for Joe Burrow and the Bengals during 2 years ago, and this kind of led him to this head coaching position. I think personally, Ward immediately upgrades them at the quarterback position, right? Definitely gives them an advantage over a guy that puts mayonnaise in his coffee, um, which I know you're a huge fan of him. So, uh,
their quarterback depth chart, right? Their quarterback room is like you read it, and it's kind of funny how comically bad it's going to be.
yeah,
It's Will Levis, Brandon Allen, and Tim Boyle,
yeah,
and Cam Ward. Yikes!
yeah. I
Yikes!
think Cam Ward's the day one starter. I don't think anyone's arguing that.
Oh, for sure.
And there's even rumors of him like talking with who is it, Justin Simmons, and like talking smack with him in practice, and like
Yeah,
yeah, like he's not afraid to back down to like show up and show out for on that team. But listen, some of the moves they made in free agency, I think the biggest name they have was Kevin Zeitler, right? Formerly of Detroit and Baltimore, just very big for them. They also added some help at tackle with the signing of Dan Moore Jr., which is going to provide them a much improved offensive line this year. So they're going to be better. They've been building it through the draft the last few years with J.C. Latham and Skoronski. Both of them are just beasts. But this team is going to need to play well together and learn to play well together, right? To protect their prized asset that they have in Cam Ward. So it's going to be very interesting, but they also added. I really like that they added Tyler Lockett, and I know a lot of people may feel like, oh, he's over the hill, but that's a great veteran presence that is really going to help a guy like Cam Ward, who's a younger quarterback. You definitely need stuff like that. The only move they made in free agency that was a bit head scratching to me was Draymond Jones, which he was good while in Denver, I believe. He underperformed in Seattle, so they cut him. Yet Tennessee rewarded him, and I don't get that piece of it. Like he just didn't have any sort of production in Seattle that would have made you think like, hey, I'm going to go and offer this guy 10 million, right? Like I feel like it could have been better spent, but again, this team has gotten a lot better roster wise within the last couple years, right? So maybe it's a depth piece that's going to help them. Um, they also moved on from Harold Landry, who ended up in New England, and then Kenneth Murray Jr., who ended up getting traded to Dallas earlier. I
Right.
think that was right as soon as the offseason hit that happened. Um, but
First day of free agency.
yeah,
Yeah.
but basically, and the draft, listen, the stuff that they added, right? This was all about Ward. It really was. Like they end up bringing him in. They added help with Oladeo on the edge. I still believe this team's a bit away, even with their free agency and draft moves. I think they're still going to be a little ways away. They do have one of the easiest schedules this year, though, and that's going to
Sure.
bode well for them. Just kind of your thoughts on them and like any of the moves they made, anything like that. I know I went through kind of quick on that.
No, no, no. You're okay. I think that I think they're going to be marginally better
Hmm.
because I think that you could have put put yourself out there as quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, and I think that's a 2-win improvement
Who?
over Will Levis. Like Will Levis was just bad, like in every sense of the word, man. Um, that being said, I think that this is they're still a couple years away.
Hmm.
They are. I think Cam Ward having Brian Callahan as a head coach, I think is going to do wonders for him.
Hmm.
I think I mean, you said it yourself. You saw it with Joe Burrow, like, and look how that worked.
Yeah, very.
Um, I don't think that Cam Ward is as good as Joe Burrow, and so I think that you're going to. I think there's going to be some lumps that Cam Ward's going to take.
Hmm.
That being said, I could see this team. I could see this team going 5-12.
Okay. All right. All
A
right. Looks like we
brick
got cut
run.
off there, but yeah, I see Tennessee finishing third in their division at 6-11. So I know you would mention 5-12, but I see them winning 6 games this year, and I honestly think some of that they're going to end up sweeping one of the teams in the division this year, but we will see. So, moving on to Jacksonville, they finished third last year at 4-13. Many things went wrong for them. First, obviously, Trevor Lawrence getting hurt. That didn't help. We did see some nice glimpses out of Brian Thomas Jr., which I know you appreciated in fantasy.
Hey,
Heads up to the champ there. But this year, right, new coach in Liam Cohen, new opportunities. We got, yeah,
Duval.
Mr. Duval. How many times did you watch that clip?
I probably around 200. I There
Okay.
was like a 3-day stretch where I did nothing but watch that, and it was oh my! I just was like cackling in my apartment to myself. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Like it's a
Yeah.
reel that I have saved in my Instagram reels that I can just kind of come back to every now and again when I need to pick me up. Where I'm like, oh, this is really funny. I'm gonna watch this for a little bit.
Yeah, it's interesting. Trevor Lawrence though, and I know we've talked about him before, but why don't you give your opinion on him kind of for this?
I, I understand that this man has won a playoff game in pretty spectacular fashion. And I understand that they paid him a lot of money, and I understand he's a former number one pick. But what I have watched in the NFL from this man, I don't think he's a good quarterback. I
Hmm.
just don't. And you and I are pretty lockstep with a lot of things in the NFL. This isn't one of them. You love Jacksonville and you love Trevor Lawrence, and I don't. I just don't. Yeah, I can't do it, man. I
I'm
can't
not
do
sure
it with
I
him.
love him, but I love the his ability over Mac Jones. There, I think
Well,
he's
yeah,
much
that's
better than him. So like for me, well, I mean, Mac Jones was a first round pick too. So like,
yeah. My
I
dead
mean,
grandmother's a better pick than Mac Jones.
oh my God. Oh man.
And she's been dead since 1988.
Wow. Sorry, Mac. You're
Oh my god, yeah,
that's brutal.
I watched Mac Jones for 3 years. I know what that looks like. I would
So
rather Trevor Lawrence than Mac Jones.
well, so let me
That's
ask
not
you.
saying much though.
Let me just push back and ask you about that because I'm not. It's not like I'm a believer of Trevor Lawrence. I don't. Wouldn't say like I'm a denier of him. I think he makes some bad plays out there. I think he gets hurt sometimes, but it's difficult to have the like he's shown the ability to lead before, in college, and I feel like in the pros a little bit, it's tough to win a playoff game, but he was able to figure it out.
Yeah.
Most of the quarterbacks that experience a lot of success in the NFL, they've got some really good talent around them. And I feel like Etienne was all right. Brian Thomas Jr. is definitely a good playmaker for them. But do you think adding guys like some of the guys they added through the draft with like Travis Hunter, do you think that is going to benefit him going forward?
Um, I think that I think it's going to help. I don't what I don't love with Jacksonville is all of the capital they gave up. Like they gave up their first round pick next year.
Mm-hmm.
And if Jacksonville, if Trevor Lawrence gets hurt again, Cleveland's looking at a potential top five free pick. Like on
Yeah.
top of their already top five pick, they're probably gonna have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I am excited to see what he's gonna have with two really good wideouts in Thomas Jr. and Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just again Trevor Lawrence, if you're telling me that they're down four and they've got to drive 80 yards for the score in under 2 minutes, I just don't trust that he's going to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's it.
And
That's it.
and
That's
I
what it
can
really
agree
comes
with
down
you on that. I can agree with you on that. I don't
to. Yeah.
compared to the other quarterbacks in the league that I do have faith in, he's not one of them.
Like if you tell me that Joe Burrow is going to go 80 yards in under 2 minutes, cool. Sign me up. Like I'll bet that all day. I
Listen,
will
you
bet that all day.
yeah, I mean that's an easy pick though, right? But what about a guy like Justin Herbert? Because I feel like
No.
based on the success they've had, it's similar. I feel like Herbert's put up better numbers some years, but do you feel any differently taking a guy like that? I feel better about Herbert driving down the field than I do Lawrence,
Oh,
but
same. And
yeah.
Herbert, I think, also just has better physical tools than
Hmm.
Lawrence, respectfully. The problem with Herbert, and kind of the same thing with Lawrence, is they both kind of get hurt a lot. And I will say this about Trevor Lawrence: the one thing that is not his fault, he's on his third coach already,
Yeah,
or sorry, yeah, third or fourth coach already, and he's been in the league since 2020.
it's
Like
really
that's
tough.
not great,
No, it's really tough to
and
have that
that's
kind
not
of
his.
shifting.
Yeah, and that's not his fault. And hopefully Liam Cohen sticks around for a while.
Hmm.
Again, I just don't. I don't know. I just don't trust it with him, and he's now got all the weapons he could ask for. What are you going to do with that now? Are you going to be able to lead this team? Like this is kind of a put up or shut up year for him.
I think that's a big thing, right? Like they made a lot of moves through free agency to try to shore up the team a bit, and like some of those, right? They addressed the secondary when they brought in Jordan Lewis and Darnell Savage. I think both of them are going to be okay in the secondary because they needed to do that. Because teams were just throwing all over the place on them last year, and that's why they got into a lot of those shootouts with, Brian Thomas and stuff like that. Was because of that. They signed Patrick McCarry, who's very versatile, right? Like his run blocking could use quite a bit of work. Like he finished near the bottom in run block rate, but he's going to provide a good lineman for this team. Um, Especially considering the guys they had to replace, right? They also added
Yeah,
the former center for the Bucks, Robert Hainsey, before they drafted Barton, who came in and kind of took over there, and he should slot in nice for them, right at center there.
yeah.
Um, I also really liked what they did in the draft, right? Travis Hunter, what we know about him, right? Like
That's a home run pick right
it
there.
really is, right? And no one, I don't know, I wouldn't say no one, but a lot of the experts didn't anticipate Jacksonville trading up to make that happen, right? They had
Yeah,
Hunter going elsewhere in the league, maybe the Patriots, the Browns, all of these other teams, but it's Jacksonville that ends up taking him, right? They added some really young talent to the defense in Jack Kaiser and Caleb Ransaw, which people forget that, right? Travis Hunter, obviously a wide receiver. They talk about getting him reps on defense as he's a lockdown corner as well, right? But
yeah.
they also went out and got Ransaw. They drafted him, and he's a good cornerback as well. So like adding those two guys to that room, right? Travis Hunter gets added to the wide receiver room as well, and then
Yeah.
Jordan Lewis, Darnell Savage. Like could be a very good looking team next year. They got younger, right? And I think
They did.
that's
Yeah,
a big thing for them.
I I think for me the one if you Trevor Lawrence aside, I think the one question mark that I have with this team is that offensive line.
Yeah.
I think for me, and that honestly, that's a big question mark that I have for them.
Yeah.
Because the thing was with Lawrence when he got hurt, I think it was like last year. Yeah, when he got hurt last year, they're like, oh man, like he comes, like they have linemen coming back, man. They have linemen coming back. And like respectfully, that didn't really make a
It
difference.
didn't make a huge difference for them. Yeah.
No. And so I understand the upgrades that they made. On paper, they look like they're a better offensive line.
Hmm.
It's kind of like Baltimore last year. Remember that was kind of the knock against them early on. We were like, okay, their offensive line looks like they got better.
Hmm.
I gotta see it. I gotta see it first. And like it took them a couple weeks to gel, but
Right.
then before you knew it, Derrick Henry was running for almost 2,000 yards.
Yeah.
And if this line can just be average for Trevor Lawrence, I think that's gonna make a world of difference for him.
Yeah, that's the big thing, the secret to it, right? You need a good offensive line in order to be able to get time to be able to do what you got to do. In regards to the schedule, listen, they play an easier schedule this year than they did last year. They have a tough stretch from weeks 2 to 10, and this is like during this time, man, they play the Bengals, the Texans twice, the 49ers, the Chiefs, the Seahawks, the Rams, and the Chargers. It does get easier after that. And I decided to make a change on how I think they're going to do. But listen, they can't afford, as you mentioned, for Lawrence to get hurt. And a lot of this season hinges on him. And we could be having a different conversation if they don't do well this year. Of
Yeah,
let's finding our next, go out and find our next quarterback. Also, can Etienne bounce back? Right? Can BTJ have?
yeah.
Yeah,
Etienne had a weird year last
yep.
year where like it felt like it was very feast or famine with him.
Hmm.
Like either you're like, cool, he's crushing it, or boy, he only had 28 yards rushing.
Well,
And
and then they
yeah,
started using Tank Bigsby more, which
I
like
I hope they use more of him.
yeah, he's good. He's a home run hitter as well, right?
Yeah,
It just it's a tough thing. And like, can Brian Thomas Jr. avoid that sophomore slump that usually happens? Can Hunter push them over the edge on offense? Like, I don't know. Like, but in terms of that, how do you have them finishing this year in the division and for a record?
I think they're going to finish 7-10.
7 and yeah, I have them finishing as 7 and 10 as well, second in the division this year. I just think it's going to be interesting. I don't think they can get to those 8 wins that they're going to need for it, but
Yeah,
we'll see going forward exactly how it's going to work out for them. Moving
I
on.
I will say this with Jacksonville real quick. I think the AFC like is going to be a little top heavy this year, and I there's a world where like 7-10, 8-9 could sneak in that last wild card spot this year in the AFC.
Yeah, I hope not. I hope
I
we
hope not either,
yeah,
but
I hope
like
we have
I
enough like 9 or 10 win teams that it's not a sub 500 team getting in. But who knows? We
yeah.
will see. Moving on, we got our Indianapolis Colts, right? And the Colts,
Woo!
listen, they finished second last year with an 8-9 record, which is just wild when you think about that. But they're going to be dealing with a lot this year, right? The passing of Jim Irsay earlier, uh, Anthony Richardson versus Daniel Jones, this quarterback battle, like questions regarding leadership in the building. Shane Steichen, he could be looking at being on the hot seat. Chris Ballard, I think there's a lot of pressure on him for these guys that they drafted to hit.
Year 3 for Steichen.
Yes. No. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, he came over
Yeah,
after the Eagles Super Bowl year in 22.
and it was they drafted AR that year, and last year was his
Yeah.
second year. So
This will be year 3 for him. I don't
year
think they'll
three.
give him the boot in year 3 because I'm going to say a thing, and I think that you and I both know this, and I'll be the one to say this.
Hmm.
I don't think Richardson's long for this world as a quarterback in the NFL, man.
Not unless he's done a lot of growing up, right? And my thought is if you're there with Joe Flacco and you're not redirecting your course at that point, like Flacco seems
Yeah,
like the best guy to be able to learn from. Um, but
I
I don't
am.
know.
I will say with in the quarterback room, you guys drafted Riley Leonard out of Notre Dame.
Yeah,
Dude's a winner, man.
yeah,
Dude's a winner.
yeah.
Like
And that's all it takes is getting a chance and an opportunity sometimes.
yeah,
It doesn't need to be pretty. It just needs to be serviceable.
yeah.
And I think it could be with him for sure. Um, But yeah, in terms of free agency, right? Daniel Jones comes in, they bring in Charvarius Ward and Cameron Bynum to try to that needed to happen because the secondary was just awful, and you could see it in games
Oh
where
yeah.
they're airing it out last year. Like, okay, Richardson comes in, he's like 2 of 11 for like 25 yards, and then throws like an 80-yard touchdown to Alec Pierce, right? Like it just isn't consistent, and this is going to
Yeah.
provide them at least a little bit more consistency. I hope they get back to running the ball a little bit with Jonathan Taylor, and they're going to need to lean on that. The quiet ad that they had was Khalil Herbert, adding him to the
There
running
was.
back room. Didn't it kind of flew under the radar a little bit, and I'm not sure if it's going to make big waves because they're kind of like a hey, give it to JT, let him pound the rock. But it's good to have depth there and a guy that can handle the ball. So then moving on, let's see. With the draft,
Oh, can we please? I want to spend like 2 minutes talking about Tyler Warren
yeah, yeah,
because he was the
I definitely want
oh, he's
to.
so good. He's
Yeah,
so good. I know you guys don't need a tight end,
yeah,
but man, he's so good, and he's like the best tight end in this draft. I think.
yeah.
Oh, I man,
So I think we're kind of split on this, right? Like I like the pick of Warren more and more at tight end. I really do, but I'm just not sure that was the most pressing need for this offense. And I feel like it needs more playmakers to take the pressure off the quarterback and Jonathan Taylor. He's a playmaker, but when I look at other teams in the league and I compare the offenses, this is one of the offenses I'm really not that scared of. Like,
yeah,
and it, I'm not sure he provides that scare factor to me. Like they've got Michael Pittman on the outside. He's been struggling to stay healthy. Josh Downs, yeah, okay. Alec Pierce, I like those guys, but none of them
watch him
scare
block,
me.
man.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, like the dude can block.
yeah. I liked him at Penn State. Listen, I thought it
Yeah,
it was good. But we'll get into that in just a little bit because I have a scenario that I want to run by you to kind of
sure.
talk about that. They added a lot of depth on defense. They added the talented pass rusher, and now I don't want to mess this up, but Tuimoloau out of Ohio State. Now that is a very difficult name to pronounce, but I did my best. So I think he's going to be a game wrecker for them on defense, especially playing behind DeForest Buckner. I think he's just going to be able to really, really get after the quarterback. So I really like what they did there in that depth. I just I'm not feeling satisfied with the draft that they put together.
Sure.
I think they're going to have a fairly easy schedule this season, right? Like they play the Chiefs and 49ers, but other than that, very few games against playoff teams that you really have to worry about, right? Houston, obviously, playoff team, they're going to play them twice, but like past that, there's not many other teams that it's like, oh, wow, this is the scenario that I want to talk to you about. Like,
All right.
because I think you're going to be surprised with what I have to say about this, but
I
I,
I can tell by the look on your face this is going to be a doozy, and I cannot wait.
yeah, so
I
like
cannot wait.
I look at the other teams in this division, right? And
Okay.
just the first pick of the draft for each of these teams, not the first round pick, because not all of them had first round picks, but just the
Mhm.
first pick, right? Tennessee, Cam Ward, obviously the number one
Sure.
pick in the draft. Then Jacksonville takes Hunter, right? Gave up a lot for him, but they take him, right? Houston, Higgins, right? Their wide receiver out of
Mhm.
Iowa State, but
Yep.
he's not a first, but almost, right? He was a second round pick right at the beginning of the second round.
Yeah. High second. Yep.
All of these players that I just named, and we're going to talk about Higgins in a minute here when we talk about Houston, but all of them I feel move the needle towards the positive for each of these teams. And they address very specific needs for those teams. Now, listen,
Sure.
I really like Warren as a prospect, but I'm just not sure tight end was the area that Indy had to address. And they did it with a premium pick in the first round. If they had gone out and and I look at some of the guys around them, if they could have ended up drafting a corner or another pass rusher or a lineman at that point, like there's other guys, other positions that I think they could have addressed and then still gotten a tight end later. They wouldn't have gotten him. I know that, but
Yeah.
they could have addressed it later. And why I feel like this is why I feel like they're going to finish fourth in the AFC South this year. They're going to win 4 games because I think there's so much uncertainty around the quarterback position. There's still some holes on defense. And like I mentioned, this team needs to add some serious playmakers at the wide receiver position. And don't tell me that they couldn't have, because I look at it at some of the teams, like the Rams, they added Devonte Adams in the offseason to already Puka Nakua, right? Like
Yeah.
there's guys out there that they could have added that they just didn't, right? And it to me, it's super frustrating to see that. So that's why I have them finishing with 4 wins this year. And maybe I'm wrong, but I think teams like Tennessee, they're going to sweep them in the division this year. It's going to be brutal.
Yeah. I would not see for last in the division.
What's
I
that?
really do. I think they're. I think that Tennessee and Indianapolis are going to have the same record and tied for last in the division
Ooh, okay.
because I said what they were going to be four. They're going to win 4 games. I said that they could maybe win 5, and I'd be
Hmm.
like, okay, that kind of tracks. Um, there's just no roadmap for them. There isn't. Like respectfully, I think we're going to find out pretty quickly that Richardson's going to be on such a short hook.
Hmm.
They're going to pull him quickly, and then like respectfully to Daniel Jones, like that's your option. Like okay,
Yeah.
I think you're going to see Riley Leonard at points this year. I think you're going to.
I wouldn't mind that, man. To at least if the season becomes if it's pretty early on that it's clear like it's not going to work out, let's move on, right? Like
Yeah,
let's see what the kid can do, right? Don't go out there and get him hurt on purpose, but let's see what he can do, right?
yeah.
Because like I said, those guys that are winners, like, and you've seen them come into the league and have success. I still remember AJ McCarron when he was at Alabama, and I was like, yo, this guy knows how to win. And he came to the league. He wasn't a stud in the league, but he won some games
And
while
it
he
was a
was there.
good backup for
Yeah,
a lot of years.
really serviceable backup. So hopefully they get things figured out and uh I want to see them experience success, but I just don't feel like they have a team on paper right now that I'm like, all right, this is a successful team.
So funny what our teams both are kind of in a down cycle right now, and
Hmm.
like just kind of like where we're both at. Where like my team and the Patriots, like there's a roadmap, and there's like you can kind of tell there's a little light at the end of the tunnel. Like okay, I think we there's a roadmap. We can figure this out and be good again. And whereas like the Colts, like I don't. I just feel like that quarterback thing is so untenable right now. You're like,
Yeah.
what do you? You're gonna like realistically, you're probably gonna get a top 5 pick.
Hmm.
You're gonna have to start over again with quarterback.
Yeah.
You're gonna waste another year of Jonathan Taylor. Like you're
But
gonna waste another year of Michael
they
Pittman.
could have
Like
started 5 years ago with a new quarterback, right? But they brought in
yeah,
Matt Ryan and Philip Rivers and Joe Flacco and all these guys, right? And like they could have just really honed in and drafted a new one. What would be amazing is seeing possibly Manning going
how fucking dare you?
there.
How dare you? How dare you speak that into existence?
Just
It's been on my brain for a while that there's a world where that happens, and I'll just lose my shit. I'll do it.
how
I'll do it.
how
I'll do it.
crazy.
I will.
It could be wild. So, all right, the last thing we have for the AFC South, the Texans, right? They won the AFC South last year with the record of 10-7. They beat up the Chargers in the wild card round. We all remember that. Where what did they have, like 5, 6 turnovers in that game that they
Yeah.
they forced? But then they lost to Kansas City in a game that saw Houston like stay relevant for most of the game, and then it was very easy for them to keep it close, but then all of a sudden in the fourth, Kansas City kind of pulled away and wins that game.
Yeah,
Um,
you could tell that game that Houston had run out of firepower with the lack of receivers that they had.
mhm.
Not having Tank Dell was that was when it was evident. You're like, oh, this is why they have Tank Dell.
Right.
Because
Yep.
he would have been a monster in that game.
Yep. And so I mean, just losing Tank Dell, I mean, it was just a horrific leg injury. He's going to miss most of this year.
Sure
Um,
was.
But in the offseason, made some moves in terms of free agency. Now, they traded away Laramie Tunzel to Washington, but then they ended up signing Cam Robinson, which I don't totally dislike. But Cam Robinson's given up some sacks, and I feel like you want to have a guy there that you can trust, that CJ Stroud can trust. To be able to block for you. But they also signed Laken Tomlinson, who he's been extremely durable through his career, but also he's a very intelligent football player as well. So I think adding a guy like that to your line is really going to benefit them. Sheldon Rankins, listen, that signing, it's big for them because they needed to address their defensive line, and I think bringing him in is definitely something that's going to do that. They also re-signed Derek Barnett, their linebacker, who he didn't have a ton of sacks. I think he only ended with 5 sacks on the season, but he ended up bringing in 2 fumble recoveries for touchdowns last year, and I think that's a really big thing. Guys that and I think that earned him the ability to re-sign was when you play for a Demico Ryan's team and you're forcing turnovers and then converting on those turnovers, that's gonna put some good check marks in the positive column for you. And
Yeah.
I think he's a guy that obviously he knows the team, knows the defense. I think they'll be good there. I also, and I forgot this in my notes initially, Nick Chubb signed with them.
Yeah.
And if you had told me that there was a world someday that we'd see Joe Mixon and Nick Chubb in the same backfield, I'd tell you that would never happen. But here we are.
Um, I I know this isn't the same team as last year,
Hmm.
but I watched this team on Christmas Day lose 31-2.
Yeah.
And I understand how they've gotten better.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's enough to contend with the Baltimores and the Buffaloes
Yeah.
in this conference.
That's the big thing I was going to ask you, right? Like, they've done
Like
enough to stay competitive, but have they done enough to get over that hump? And I don't feel that way right now.
like if you tell me there's a world where okay, you tell me there's a world where they like maybe somebody like it's a year that Josh Allen gets hurt
Hmm.
or like Lamar gets hurt. Okay, you could talk me into them being like the 2 seed.
Yeah.
You could talk me into that. I think they're a 3 seed that's going to win a playoff game at home, and then they're going to get fed to either Buffalo or Baltimore,
Or
or maybe
Kansas City.
Kansas.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to say Kansas City because I think Kansas City is a weird year for them.
Ah.
But yeah, like you're Houston is good. They're just kind of a tier below
Yeah,
good. You know what I
listen,
mean?
I think I thought that initially, but as I started to look through the roster, right? Like we mentioned before, some of the guys they added in the draft, or one of them, right? In terms of Jaden Higgins, right? They needed a body next to Nico Collins to take some pressure off for him because Nico Collins was one of the best receivers in the league last
There
year.
was.
Put up a ton of yardage per game, brings in a ton of balls, is big bodied, scores touchdowns for them, like does all of the things that you want your number one wide receiver to do. They went out and got a guy that's the same frame as him to stand opposite of him. So CJ Stroud has some very, very big targets now. But they also turned around and drafted Higgins' teammate, Jalen Noel, basically to fill that Tank Dell role, right? In the slot. They drafted their potential right tackle of the future in Ursary out of Minnesota, who I don't know if you've seen this guy, but he's an absolute unit. He's
Yeah.
6'6", 330 pounds. Like the guy's a monster, right? Very, very physical. But even with that, I have concerns too, where I feel like, all right, how are they going to be injury wise? How are they going to put this together? Um, this is year 3 for CJ Stroud. People figured him out a little bit last year. It wasn't like his rookie year. He still was good, very good, but the interceptions went up a little bit. I
The league had a full year of tape on him.
Yeah,
They did.
yep.
Like, and that's once the league has enough tape on you, like you can kind of plan for that. Like
Yeah, the interesting thing for me, I think, is the schedule for them, right? Like,
I looked at their schedule and I couldn't make. Here's the thing: you could tell me they win 11 games, or you could tell me they win 9 games, and I'd be like, okay, because their schedule's like they play a lot of teams that you're like, I think they're going to be all right this year. Like they play teams like the Raiders and the Cardinals, and you're
mhm,
like, and like Seattle, and you're like, I think they're going to be decent this year.
mhm.
I don't know. I mean, their first 2 games are against the Rams and Tampa. So like I think you're gonna find out pretty quick what kind of team they are.
Not even past that, man. Like, look at weeks 5 and 8, right? Like, you'll find out early about this team, but
Yeah.
they better have stuff figured out for the second month because they're playing at Baltimore, at Seattle, then home against San Francisco, and home against Denver. that's a murderer's row of games right there.
A Baltimore game in week 5, I think is going to be a measuring stick game of like, okay,
Huge.
where do we stand?
Yep.
Because first of all, they gave us a swirly on national TV last year, Christmas Day. So
Yeah.
like, I'm curious to see how they respond to
I
that.
mean,
But
they're also going to play the Bills and Chiefs next year. So,
sure are,
I say next year, but this year, right? So we're going to
yeah.
definitely get to see what this team's made of, and if they're going to be playoff tested, kind of what's the measuring stick on that? How good are we? Um,
Their road games are pretty awful this year. Like they've got to go to Baltimore, they've got to go to Kansas City, they've got to go to Seattle.
yeah,
Like
tough places to play.
there are some that road schedule is weirdly brutal for them this year.
But that's why, when we say like they're being tested, those are perfect games to test you, right? In the middle of the
Yeah,
season. Losing one of those games is not a big deal. Losing all of them is a big deal. But
yeah.
you need to be able to learn how to play in those environments and make the most out of it. How do you have them finishing this year?
So I looked at the schedule, and I think, respectfully to your Colts, they're going to sweep that division. So that's 6 wins
Mm-hmm.
right off the bat. That's 6 wins.
Yep.
I think they can find 4 more wins in that schedule. I think they're going to finish 10-7. I do. Like
Yeah.
I want to talk myself into 11-5. I just don't trust it enough because like I don't know what you're getting besides Nico Collins at receiver.
Yeah.
And like I know who they drafted, and that's great. And I know that Tank Dell might come back second half of the year. I don't know, man. The receiving core is a big question mark for me.
Yeah. Yep. And I think
No.
I have them finishing first in the AFC South, but with the same
Me
record,
too.
10-7. So,
Yeah, they're gonna win the division. They're
yep.
gonna win the division easily. Like they're gonna, like I said, they're probably gonna get a 3 seed.
But
It's fine.
crazy things have happened, right? Like we could be sitting here weeks from now, and Jacksonville's leading the division, right?
Yeah,
Like I could see something like that, or even Tennessee making that jump. Like we just don't know. When you see quarterbacks like Jaden Daniels come in and just completely elevate a team, it makes you
yeah.
wonder, like, what? Okay, that could help happen elsewhere as well.
You know what? You know what I was hesitant with to try to get to 11 wins.
Mhm.
They play teams like Denver and Vegas this year, where I'm like, I think Denver and Vegas are going to be good,
I
or
think
at least
Denver's going to be
decent.
very good this year.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I can't wait till we talk about the AFC West because I think we're gonna. Yeah,
next week, baby.
you and I have some takes on this that I
Yeah,
are gonna might not age well. I'm
it's the
just gonna
best
say it.
coached division in football, in my opinion.
Oh, not even
Yeah,
close.
yeah, yeah.
Not even close.
It's amazing.
But yeah, it's stuff like that where you're like, I think they could beat Denver,
Yeah.
but like, I don't know. Maybe they. I don't know. Denver's defense is really good, so I don't know. Like,
Maybe yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Like I said, it's going to be a measuring stick a lot of those games to determine how good they're going to be.
yeah.
Um, yeah. Anything else you wanted to mention before we wrap up on these teams?
No, man. Like I said, this is kind of a weird division where it's like it's the Texans and everybody else.
Hmm.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
next week we talk about the AFC West, and boy, we are gonna get into some that might be our longest episode
Yeah. It could be. It could
because
be.
honestly, I could go 20 minutes easy on each one of those teams,
Yep. Yeah.
easy.
I mean,
So
we're
I'm
going to talk
ready.
about some really good stuff, but
Oh, we're gonna talk about some good and weird football.
yeah, let us
Yeah,
know. Let us know in the comments what you think, and if you agree, disagree, any of that stuff, go ahead and drop it below for us. Um, but until next week, bud.
yeah.
eh, I'll be
I
home
love
again
you.
next week. Yeah, love you too, man.
Woo!
I will catch you
Yeah.
next week.
Yes, sir.
All
All
righty.
right.
Peace.